Today, we're talking to Travis Wright about how to start a successful podcast. He is the co-owner of the Bad Crypto Podcast. We'll be talking podcasts. We'll be talking Bitcoin. We're going to have some fun. Travis, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate being here. Yourself.
So let's start by getting to know you. Let's say I met you in high school. What would I think about you?
Well, in high school, I was voted the class clown. So I've always been very witty and creative with my retorts. And it's interesting how school tries to beat that out of you. Like, I was thinking about that, like, over the years, like if I have something that is going to add to the conversation, either going to make somebody laugh or make somebody think, I always will blurt it out. And teachers don't seem to like that when you're in grade school and high school. And so the time when I went to school was still in the time where they would give children swats for misbehaving.
Okay.
And so I realized I think I received it, not for misbehaving or being, like causing violence or trouble, but like I got over 100 different swats in my educational career just because I was being witty. And they would try to beat that out of me, but I was like, you can't beat me out of me. I ain't going to let that happen. So, and today I think that my wit is one of my greatest skills, and they tried to push it down.
Yeah, it is a shame they do that. I think that's all educational systems in general. They want everyone to be serious, and there's a lot to be said about the educational system, isn't there?
Yeah, it reminds me of the whole Pink Floyd movie, right? They want everybody to be the same. Right. Pink Floyd, The Wall. Here it is. Sit down, shut up. No, you can't eat. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? Right? And so, yeah, they can tell you what to do, tell you how to act. And you know what? Not everybody's the same. There are multiple types of genius in the world. And the school system seems to try to fit everybody into the same box when there are multiple boxes that people can excel in. And I don't think that they are allowing folks to flourish as effectively as they could.
Yes, and also multiple parts, success, different successes as well, which we'll be talking about. We're actually talking about it for the Crypto Factor Volume 2, which you are going to be in. I know you didn't make it to Volume number 1, but you should have. Yeah,
that's okay. I'm number 2.
And let me ask you something. How did you get into podcasting, Travis? How did it all start?
I first got into podcasting in 2006. And I said, I had a website called Cultivate Greatness, which is all about personal development, leadership training. If you actually typed in either one of those terms, I popped up number 1 on Google. And then, a few years later, some hacker got in and screwed up my whole database, and it was just screwy. The site went down. But I interviewed, I was doing some stuff. I was really early on the podcasting game, and I just enjoyed it. I like, if I have something to say, I want to send it out there. And what I found out was really cool about when I launched Cultivate Greatness, and then the light clicked, and I said, wow. So like, for the rest of my life, I'm going to spend a portion of my time interviewing very intelligent people on topics that I'm not an expert in. And wow, I bet that expands my network. I bet that expands my net worth, just because you become who you hang around. I tell my children that all the time. If you're flocking around the turkeys, you're not going to be able to fly with the eagles because you're hanging out with turkeys. And I also tell them this, it's like, sometimes you're going to be hanging around some turds, and they're going to try to bring you in the toilet with them. But you don't want that. You need to flush them before they bring you in there with them, because you are the sum total of the 5 people you hang around the most.
Yes.
And so you want to make sure you're hanging around great people, because if not, then you start, your morals start slipping a little bit. You're hanging around some thugs or some hoodlums or some people doing bad stuff. Then it seems normal, and then you start doing it. So, it's one of those things. And so I was like, man, I'm going to spend the rest of my life, or a portion of my life, interviewing brilliant people. And here I am now on my 5th podcast now. I'm doing 2 simultaneously right now with Joel Comm. We're doing Bad Crypto, and we also have the Bad Boys of Tech. I was also the Technorati podcast host for that tech website, and I was also a host of the VentureBeat podcast for a couple of years with Stuart Rogers.
Wow. Okay. So how did the crypto podcast start with Joel Comm? Because I never really asked that before. How did this happen? I think I remember it. You were looking about doing something together, and it just popped at some point, or something from what Joel told me.
Yeah, well, you know what? We were just having lots of conversations. We talked a lot about politics, and you know, there's a libertarian bent to both of us. Where I think that the leftists and the rightists, and there's just it's not so cut and dry because I have some beliefs over here on the left. I got some beliefs over here on the right. I mean, it's not really cut and dry for anyone if you go through a political compass. And I did do that, and I actually aligned politically very close to where Gandhi is.
Hmm.
And then what's so funny is like people on the far left are calling me an alt-right Nazi, and I'm aligning with Gandhi on the middle of the left. I'm like, what's going on over here? This is crazy. And so I think there's a lot of stuff that's up and down right now. So much distraction and division within politics. But so we were talking a lot about politics, and then we were talking about solutions because both of us are sort of futurists. We like to think about solutions, and we just said, hey, the solution really is blockchain. And having a voter ID that is attached to your identity, like Civic, which we discovered, where once it identifies that you are you should be able to vote with your smartphone. We all have a smartphone. Like, why do we have to have Congress people vote on everything for us whenever we could say, hey, do we want this to be passed? And everybody can pick up their phone and vote, right? You have 24 hours to vote. Like, okay, great, vote. And so I wrote an article on Huffington Post that talked about that because I read all the WikiLeaks stuff. I saw, the Russians didn't hack it. What happened was John Podesta left his cell phone in a taxi, and his password was password with an @ sign. Like, my kid could hack that. Like, it's not a Russian to hack that. And it was just so much in this, all this blame and pointing fingers and victimization and stuff. I said, look, you can cry about it all you want, or you can solve the problem. I'd rather solve the problem so we don't have this problem. And so blockchain, and this is the solution. And so that just sort of created a snowball where some people reached out to me. They were creating a solution. I recommended they create that with blockchain, was chatting with Joel about it. Oh, this blockchain stuff is interesting. This crypto stuff is interesting. And, we started chatting about different coins and, oh, check out Ant Shares. What is this? Oh, it's like this Ethereum. And the Ant Shares, which became Neo, was like $2 at the time. And then it rose to like $150 later. So we started putting money in, and then I made this comment to him one day because we just had a phone call. I was like, dude, like, how long until we do the Joel and TW crypto show? Because, I mean, my God, we're talking about this all the time, and it's entertaining and hilarious. Like, I bet people would like to listen to us banter back and forth. And he messaged me back and goes, man, it's a great idea. Let's do it. And that was on July 16th, 2017. On July 18th, 2017, we had launched the website, created a name, launched the website, created a brand, set up the podcast, set up the podcast intro music, recorded the first podcast, set up all the social media channels, all within 48 hours, launched the show. Our first episode had around 2,000 downloads within the first 24 hours. And I was like, both like, whoa, that's a lot for the first 24 hours of a brand new show nobody knows about. And so it just took off.
Wow. So what drove you to get where you are? What was the driving factor behind everything? What was the driving factor behind Mr. Wright?
Well, so let me grab this.
Hey, Paul here. Let me jump in real quick. If you're getting value so far from watching this video, then please consider subscribing down below and hitting that bell notification button. It will help me, and you get to watch more videos like this one. Thank you, and let's jump back into the video.
So I wrote this book with Wiley, came out last year. It's called Digital Sense.
Okay.
And so it's all about, social business strategies, marketing technologies, customer experience. And then at the end of the book, I really dove into emerging technologies. So I've been around in the tech space for a long time. I was the global digital strategist for Semantic for the Norton brand. And so, I'm very, very versed in marketing. And then all these technologies started popping up. And so then I was really focusing on how companies can use these marketing technologies. And then the more and more that I started studying about blockchain and having conversation around blockchain, it just really, like, once you get it, once you realize that, blockchain is this amazing database that, you can't edit, you can't change it. It's transparent, immutable, and it just creates this fairness that the world has never had before. Once you get that, you go, and then once you realize that Bitcoin is just the incentive mechanism within blockchain to incentivize the miners on the network to verify the transactions, right? And once you get that, you go, oh, wow, that makes so much sense. And so I started, spending more time in blockchain also because, like, here's all these companies that are, creating cryptocurrencies that are cash rich and marketing poor. Most of them have no idea how to do marketing.
Yes, exactly.
So Joel and I are like super marketers, and we go, here's an industry that is poor in marketing and flush in cash. This could be good.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm gonna link that book down in the description below with everything else from the Bad Crypto podcast and everything else where people can find you. And I have to ask you, what does success? No, actually, if it wasn't for crypto, if it wasn't for Bitcoin, where would you see yourself be at right now?
I would probably be a chief marketing technologist of some Fortune 500 tech company of some sort. That was the path that I was going on. And, I've consulted with so many different companies, and I still do. I do consult. I have an agency in Kansas City called CCP Digital, which, we do all the different social advertising and, Google ads and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and all that. But then we have another side where we consult with marketing technologies. And I probably would have gone that way. I mean, I was really close to being hired at LinkedIn for a big role, and there were some other places that I was like,
man, I could have got that check mark.
I could have gotten you a check mark. You could have been a LinkedIn influencer. But no, sorry, Paul, you're out of gas, brother.
There you go, man. Always trying. What does success mean to you? Because it means different to a lot of people, right? It could be a number of things.
Yeah, it could be a number of things, and I think it changes as you grow. I think that to me, I think is success is being able to define my time on my schedule for me.
Beautiful answer.
I don't really like to be an employee. I'm not good at it as an employee because having somebody tell me how to do things it rubs me the wrong way. I was like, let's collaborate. We'll find out what the best way is. Don't tell me what to do, Dad. Right? I think it's probably because my dad was an asshole, probably. But I don't like I don't like dad figures telling me what to do. But no, so it's like, I have complete freedom of my time. If I want to schedule to do interviews, I can. If I want to go to Greece for a week, I'm literally going to go to Greece and then Rome, and then we got an event that we're doing up in Paris at the Blockchain Week. It was like,
and we're meeting in Greece, man. We're meeting in Greece in a few days. I'm very excited. It's going to be cool.
I'm like, if I want to just sit and do that, I'm gonna, and so I do.
Sorry,
I'm not super rich though yet, but the thing is that I have the freedom to do the things that I want to do on my time schedule, and to me, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And do you think anybody can succeed in life? And by that, I mean to be able to do things whenever you want. That means there's certain money involved, some certain financial freedom. Doesn't have to be rich. Do you think anybody can succeed in life? In other words, do you think anybody can get out of poverty?
I think anyone can who has the right mindset. Because, and I've said this many times before, it's that there's these two sort of mindsets. There's the victim, where the victim blames everybody for their problems, and the problem, and they're just so victimized that they can't do anything for themselves. Those people can't succeed until they change their mindset. But the one that decides to be the victor, that's the one that's going to win. Like, you know what? Like, my biological father burned out when I was 2. Mom is a single mom. She remarried to my stepdad. For the most part, my stepdad was a total jerk to me, right? Just not nice. Every time I saw him pull up, I would go to my bedroom, and then I would be in my bedroom and I would be reading. I would just learn and read and research and figure stuff out. So it's like, I look at that as like, yeah, my stepdad was an asshole and beat me, and he was not nice a lot of the time to me. However, that gave me the, foresight to read and love learning and grow and become super curious and, grow my brain. And so I think a lot of times these challenges that we have are what evolve your soul. They're what evolve you and propel you forward. If you have a cushy life and you don't have these challenges, then you don't grow. There's no reason for you to step out of your comfort zone if you don't have some of these challenges in life. My parents grew up, they're dirt poor, you know, and mom stayed at home. Dad had a job. It's a pretty good job, but it doesn't pay much. He's like a water plant operator, but that water plant operator doesn't pay very much. And they're in a small town. They still don't have money. And it was just one of those things where it's like, you know, people talk a lot about, talk about privilege. And it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know that I've experienced privilege other than I know to hustle, right? I have the right mindset. I have the privilege of knowing what mindset to have and knowing to work my ass off to get to where I want to go and do what I want to do. And I think if you have the right mindset and you are a lover of learning and you're always stacking skills and learning new things, connecting the dots, building relationships with people, that's what creates the privilege in life, is that now I know all these amazing people. I've hustled and I've done this stuff. And now you get to the point where, I don't hustle as much in areas that are not interesting to me, but in areas that I am on, man, I'll work until 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's not work, right? And it's like, so some people go, oh, Travis, you're going to do all this and do all that. Well, guess what? I've worked hard to get to where I am, and I put in the hours doing it, and there's nobody over me saying, hey, Travis, you need to get this done.
Exactly.
Travis needs to get it done, because if I don't, no money's coming in, right? So you got to be self-starter. You got to have the right mindset. And you got to get away from the turds. You got to flush the negative people from your life, and you got to work. You got to work. You can't just decide you want to be great. You got to work to be great.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And do you think anybody can be successful at podcasting?
No. If you got a boring ass personality, you won't be successful at podcasting.
Would I be good at
it's like, I don't know. You seem pretty friendly. You crack jokes. You're smiley. You got a good effervescent personality. That's important. But it's like some people are so monotone and some people are so technical. Like that was one of the reasons why we decided to get into the podcast in the crypto world, was because most of them were just like so high level, and people were talking, and then they're and then China, and people are going, what the? You're speaking Chinese, and I don't speak Chinese. And so that's hard for a lot of people to get. And we said, well, man, what about the layman? What about the person who doesn't understand this at all, is trying to figure it out? There needs to be a show for that. And so that's kind of what we did. But I would say if you're passionate about a topic and you got a decent personality, you got a little bit of extrovert in you, then you can do it. I think if you really want to do it, you can push yourself, but you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone, and you're going to have to sprucing up your personality a little bit. It's like, so I would say this now, since 2006, I've done, probably 700 podcast episodes or more, maybe 800 podcast episodes since 2006. I've done at least 300 or 400 webinars and online trainings. I've been on stage and give keynotes at least 175 times, right? So, and I've done stand-up comedy on stage over 300 times, right? And so all of that stuff is like connects the dots to be able to, be comfortable within your own skin, right? Because I think that some people get on there and they put on their face and now they're super professional, but now they're not entertaining. Whereas me, I'll go on stage looking just like this because I'm comfortable like this. This is me. People know this is what I look like. I have hair, but a lot of times I'll just wear my hat because I like to wear my hat. And I represent Kansas City, where I'm from. And you know what? It's my sort of personal brand. And that's cool. People appreciate that. I mean, it doesn't matter if I go up on a suit and tie, or if I'm wearing my hoodie and my hat. Does the message change? No, the message is more authentic because I'm more comfortable in my own skin, right? So you got to be comfortable. You got to be a little extroverted. You got to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. And your first couple podcasts are going to suck.
Yeah.
You're not going to be a good interviewer. But over time, I didn't think I was a very good interviewer for the first. Man, like if I didn't have notes in front of me and like the questions I was going to ask in advance, like I would be freaking out. Now with Bad Crypto and the Bad Boys of Tech, it's like we might have a question. It's just like the questions just flow naturally because I know the space, I know the people, and somebody says something which opens up something, and then I also did some research on how to do good interviews, and it's like always sharpening the saw, always making your skills get better. And then no matter what industry you're in, you got to keep doing that, because if not, you'll end up being passed up over time.
Yeah. I don't have any hair.
That's used to.
but okay. So give me 5 tips of being a successful podcaster? The 5 most important ones that come to you.
Be consistent,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I would say publish regularly. That's important. Get good guests.
Okay.
Ask great questions. Don't be afraid to joke around with your guests.
Okay.
And I would say that's 4. Just be yourself.
Mm.
But if you're boring,
I was about to say that. What if you're boring?
if you're boring,
Don't be yourself.
be your best self.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. So they say you need to fail in order to succeed in life. How do you handle failure?
Well, I look at it like this, is that you either succeed or you learn, right? School teaches you, oh, you got an F, you failed, this is miserable, you're horrible. But in the real world, you collaborate, you work on things together, there's this sort of, in the real world is that you're not isolated for the most part. If you can reach out and work on things together. And so I would say but school says, oh, you got an F, you failed this, you're a failure. Well, in the reality, in the real world, you go, oh, I don't know. In marketing, a lot of the stuff I do doesn't work the first time. If I took that sort of, school mentality into my marketing world, I'd be like, oh my God, my marketing, I'm just horrible at marketing. But you got to test stuff, man. Test it, see if it works. Did it not work? Well, then test it again. Try something new. Test it. Which one works? This one works. Boom. Let's put the cash money on this one because this one's working, right? Don't be afraid to fail. Those are learning lessons right there. Don't be, some people they just get just scared. They get so fearful that the fear of failure just hurts so many people. But I think, I don't worry about that anymore. I don't worry about people's opinions of me anymore. I don't worry about things I can't control. Like I used to be so concerned about my sports teams and they didn't do God. Like then you get the realization like I don't have any control over any of that. So why am I going to be stressed about it? I'm just going to take it what it is. It's entertaining. I'm going to enjoy it when we win. If they lose, big deal. It didn't put any money in my pocket. It only cost me money anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. And so focus on the big things, the things that matter, and get better at what you're not good at or what you perceive that you're not good at. And then again, sometimes those skills, let other people do those. Like if you're not good at something, hire somebody who's great at it, right? That way you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. So what's your favorite basketball team, by the way, since you just mentioned team sports?
My favorite basketball team is the Kansas Jayhawks.
Got you. Okay. We just started working.
I'm in Kansas City, so there's no sports team basketball in Kansas City. And I went to school at the University of Kansas, and this is March Madness when we're recording this. That's my team.
Yeah, I don't really have a team, but we just started working with the Cavaliers. So Cavaliers.
The Cavaliers are your team, right on.
So do you think mentors are important in life? And if yeah, and did you have any?
Mentos, the fresh
mentors are important in life. Mentors are
really good, especially with Diet Coke. You just spray it everywhere.
Yes.
You know what? I think mentors are important. Most of my mentors are in the books that I read, right? And then from the podcast and then interviewing folks, it's then I've had some great opportunities just to reach out and chat with them, right? It's like people who are doing epic stuff, like. I've always had shows where I can be like, oh, this person's doing some epic stuff. I want to chat with this person. This person's awesome. And if you have the door just wide open. I'm talking to my son right now, and he wants to. We got the domain genz.tv, and I'm like, dude, you're Gen Z, man. It's like here you are. You should be able to go interview anybody you want that's in Gen Z. Who are your favorite YouTubers? Who are your favorite musicians? Who are your favorite people who are doing cool stuff that you like, right? You're going to suck at first, but that's okay. And I was like, dude, one thing I always said, people is like, don't think you have to do the podcast by yourself. Get somebody else who's maybe more funny than you or more intelligent in an area that you aren't, and maybe the opposite gender. That way you got yourself a little bit of flavor. So don't think you got to do it by yourself. My first podcast was by myself. My second podcast was with Jennifer Wong at Technorati. And so it was Travis Wright and Jennifer Wong. It was the Wright and Wong way to do social media.
Ooh,
right?
Nice.
Which was fun. That was good. And then we did, and then when I did VentureBeat, I was like, oh, Stuart Rogers, he's got more cachet and marketing technology than I do. And look, he's got all kinds of cachet. Boom, I'm going to leverage his influence. And then doing Bad Crypto with Joel. Joel's way up there. He's the internet pioneer, right? Yeah. So it's like, yeah, Joel and I, we get along great. We got great rapport. Our jokes flow really well. It's like great rapport. Boom, let's do a show. That'd be fun. And so, yeah, and there's a whole lot there to unwrap, but, it's a success is a state of mind. Mentors are good. Find the right ones. Find people who are 10 years, 15 years ahead of you that you want to be, and then go help and figure out what they did to get there, and then deconstruct that and then replicate it.
Yeah. And you have a very powerful show, by the way. I was on your show, the Crypto Bad Podcast, and the Bad Crypto Podcast, and it was very powerful. You guys are great. Do you have any? And I'll link to that. I'll leave a link to the episode down in the description below.
Yeah, that was good.
And do you have any daily habits and morning rituals you go by?
Yeah, every morning I like to wake up. Because I figure if I don't wake up, then I'm dead. So each day I like to wake up, and each day I like to go to sleep. And in between, I like to work. I like to brush my teeth occasionally.
Right.
And sometimes I take a shower. Some people go, they have this little regimented thing, and I don't. I get up when I get up. I know what I do is I'll set my alarm. Sometimes I'll go to bed. Like last night I went to bed at like 4:00.
Yeah.
I was working on some stuff, and there was some things I was trying to do some crypto stuff over on the other side of the world. I had my VPN on, and I was trying to sell some cryptos, and it was just taking forever to get it. I was just up until 4:00. Well, then when I go to bed, what I like to do, there's an app that I use called Sleepy Time. Sleepy Time. Sleepy Time. It used to be a website, just sleepytie.me. And what it does, it figures out your circadian rhythms, and it says, hey, your sleep cycle is 87 minutes long. It normally takes you about 6 minutes, 7 minutes to fall asleep. So based on what time it is right now, you should wake up at 6 hours later or 7.5 hours later or whatever. So I just always like to wake up at the top of a sleep cycle. That way I'm more fresh to start my day. I don't drink coffee. I normally start my day with some water and get rolling.
Yeah. Somebody told me that all the books say that you have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, those books are not Greek. Wake up.
I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I go to bed at 5:30 in the morning.
Book that says you have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
Right. I just think you should wake up a couple hours before you got your first task of the day you got to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, if you do that, then you're good. Like I like to meditate, but I don't do it every day. I like to do it when I like to do it. I have this really cool sound lounge bed thing that's made by a bioharmonic frequency or bioharmonic technologies. It's literally this bed's over here that has subwoofers built into it. And so you put the headphones on, but then you just feel the music in a totally unique way. So if you listen to some cool different tones, binaural beats or any of those solfeggio frequency type tones, and you get up feeling like $1 million. It's sort of like a meditation, but your body just gets recharged. It's like a sound massage, which is pretty cool. So I like to do that sometimes, but I don't do it every day. It's like, that's the whole thing. I got freedom. I'm not a regimented guy. If I'm working on projects, I have my systems and my things of the way that I do things, but it's like, if I don't want to do that today, I'm not going to do it. And so that's kind of how I live my life. I'm not so regimented.
So Travis, tell me something. Where do you think podcast is going to? Where do you think podcast is going in the future? And then I would like to see talking about a little bit about Bitcoin and crypto with you.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I would say that podcasts are gaining more and more exposure. They're gaining more and more listeners. More and more money from network television and traditional radio is coming over to podcast. People who have the podcast with, good listenerships, I mean, that can easily be a full-time job for someone, right? I mean, it literally, it's almost like some of those YouTubers that have a full-time job because they're making $1 million a month off their ads off of YouTube. Podcasting is not quite there unless your name's Joe Rogan, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure Joe Rogan makes a pretty fat stack for every episode he does where he calls out a sponsor. But, Bad Crypto's done pretty well. And, it became a business where we have like a few employees that's helping us do stuff. So we would have never have thought that Bad Crypto, just setting up the podcast, would have turned into a business. And then it did. Now we're speaking all over the world at different events. We're going to be in, Paris coming up next week. I'm going, or a couple weeks, I'm going to Greece. There's another event of this thing called the HODL Rally, HODL Rally, which is a supercar rally across Europe.
Is that true? Is it real? I thought I heard. Wow.
Yeah. Virtue Nightingale is the guy who's putting that on, and it's the first crypto supercar rally that is set up pretty sweet.
That's insane, man. That's going to be cool. So where do you think crypto is going now? Because you've interviewed all the greats. There's anyone that's been to interview, you've interviewed. Where do you think it's going?
Mostly. We've not gotten Satoshi Nakamoto on yet.
Allegedly.
And we've not gotten the Winklevoss twins on.
You may have, but you don't know. It depends.
Maybe so. Nick Szabo won't come on our show because we've had Roger Ver and Craig Wright on our show, so he doesn't want to come on our show.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, bro. But I wanted to chat with Nick Szabo. I thought he's a pretty smart dude. He's one of the real OGs. But
just tell him the answer to that is okay. Just do it anyway, or new season.
Yeah, I'll say, quit being a bitch.
That's the Grant Cardone close.
Yeah. He'd be like, yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do your show. So that's okay. Where's it going? Well, I mean, we see the news every week. We report on it. The adoption is going up. There's more crypto wallets than ever. There's more exchange volume than ever. Some of the exchange volume might be manipulated. We're seeing statistics that some exchanges are. The ones that we see that are not are Coinbase and Binance and Kraken and a few others. But there are some manipulation in the space. How much crypto is traded each day? Hard to say. It's interesting. But we start seeing more and more projects are being developed. Now that we're in the crypto winter right now, because here we are in late March of 2019, the crypto winter is here, but it looks like it's thawing. We're seeing some altcoins start to rise. We're seeing Bitcoins over $4,000 again. It's been holding here nicely. Sometimes it dips below 4,000, but I'd really like to see it pop through 4,300. If it pops through 4,300, then it'll cruise on to 6,500. I want to get a pop up over that. So, more countries are adopting it. More, corporations are adopting it. More industries are adopting it. More decentralized projects are popping up all over. And right now, since it's a crypto winter, this is the time when people are building and growing their projects, right? When it's this, everybody's to the moon, everybody's looking at their stock, everybody's looking at the exchanges and seeing how big their crypto is, and nobody's doing any work. Well, when crypto prices are down, everybody's getting work done. And so we're seeing a lot of really great stuff popping through.
So do you think it's a good time for people to start getting involved? And when I say involved, because I know it's a financial advice thing, when I say involved, it could be involved in general in crypto. Do you think it's a good time?
Well, I would say this: if they're reading your book, volume 2, they're probably already begun. Right?
True.
So if this is the first time they're hearing this because of the interview on YouTube, I would say now's a good time to do additional due diligence, because I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you to do your own research, because, I always tell people to do that. I'm a big fan of learning on your own, because school taught you, here's the facts, regurgitate the facts, they're going to be on the test. They don't teach you how to think, right? Now in the real world, you got to think for yourself, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you which coins are great or which coins I think are great. I'm going to tell you to go to CoinMarketCap, do some research on the coins you think are interesting, find out the coins that are solving problems that you're passionate about, pay attention to that, and then, supporting the ones that resonate with you. That's what I would say. I'm not going to tell you which ones resonate with me, because I have a different mentality than most people. So I look at things through a different lens.
Now, if they're watching this, by the way, they're still on volume 1, because the interview is going to come out a lot before the book. That's when I'm going to ask you to come on again for number 2. So, but still, same, very good point. People should get, study into it and everything. And there is many different ways to get into crypto. It's not only about buying. But here's one question.
Yeah, before you give me that last question, I would say this as a resource. If you're trying to get in or think about getting into crypto, go to badco.in, which spells badcoin, badco.in/basics. And we have the top 10 podcasts that we did where we were describing the basics of blockchain, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Bitcoin mining, wallets, security, all the different things that you need to stay safe in the crazy world of crypto is there.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you one last question. But before that last question, where can people find you right now? Where, if somebody wanted to get involved, other than the Bad Crypto podcast and the book link, which I'll put down.
Sure. So Google Travis Wright. I mean, if you pop my name up, I normally pop up #1 all over. My Twitter handle is big. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Facebook's normally for close friends. I normally let them in on friends. I don't know how I let you in there, Paul, but
I don't know. I just I sneak my way in.
That's good. Well, we interviewed you on Bad Crypto, so we said, okay. Well, but so yeah, I mean, just Google my name. I wrote a book again, Digital Sense. If you're looking about digital marketing and that type of stuff, that's what I was known for before this whole crypto space. But we were calculated. We said, you know what? I bet we can take our influence in the marketing world, and within a certain amount of time, within a year, I bet we have just as much influence in the crypto world. And it was fortuitous. It actually happened, and here we are now, almost 2 years into the show, and we're having a blast. It's a business, and we're traveling all over, speaking, doing live Bad Cryptos. We're doing workshops for corporations, teaching them about, how the crypto works and stuff. And so we're having a lot of fun.
Amazing. Okay, so here's the last question for you. What is the one question you wish people asked you, but they don't?
What is the one question I wish people would ask me, but they don't?
And it could be on success. It could be on anything.
I really don't know. That's an interesting question, for sure. Something worth pondering under some meditation. I think it would go back to this. I think, I don't know that it's necessarily a question, but just for them to realize that success is all about their mindset, and don't be a victim, and, don't be afraid to get outside your comfort zone. But nobody's going to ask that. I'm not a personal development guru, right? I had a blog once about it, but it's really about your mindset. You got to check yourself, man, because nobody's going to do anything for you in this world. It's all up to you. And so many people out there just wanting a handout. The government, help me. No, help yourself and learn and grow and enrich your life with the mentors and all these books. I mean, there's a great guy by the name of Og Mandino. The dude was homeless. And he was just destitute, and he was out of luck, and he just decided every day to go to the library and go read books, and he read all these books and success. He got himself up, and then Og Mandino is one of the top, personal development, speakers of all time, and he was homeless, and he decided to educate himself. And it's like, so many people are spending their time on their Facebooks and the WhatsApps and the Twitters and everything else, and they're talking with their friends, but they're not growing their brain. And, they think they know everything, but they only know what the media is telling them. And, so you gotta dive outside of that and do your own research and get your head right and focus on what's important to you and get stuff done.
Travis, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, man.
And thank you guys for watching. You find everything you can find about Travis and the Bad Crypto podcast down in the description below. We'll be having drinks in Greece in a few days, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you, and until next time, keep succeeding.